individuals. Don't miss this chance to celebrate the quiet yet transformative power of motherhood only on Radio Islam, where faith, love, and legacy meet.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Radio Islam International. You are listening to the stories of the pious about the mothers of pious people, and we have begun this quite a few weeks ago. We have Mazir Ahmed Ragi online. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you, Maulana, our listeners on Radio Islam, Radio Ansar, and all those who have joined us on the Ummahat platform. I would like to tell you, Maulana, welcome back in this entire series, season 1 and season 2. I think we only had you twice. Alhamdulillah, we've got you today for the third time.
Shima, I remember that on our last chat, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, we were discussing about the mother of Farooq, that is Arabia, and we had quite a bit of interaction from brothers, from sisters who mentioned that they wanted to know where they heard that story from, and many of them wanted to read up on that story. What an amazing story of the mother of Farooq.
Yes.
Now we have Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi. He says, every day my mom used to dress me up and send me to learn, and when I returned, she would ask me to narrate all the hadith I learned to her. And this is something practical, taking interest. Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi's mother used to sit with him and ask him to teach her what he learned. So every day he used to come home and teach her, and slowly he says he fell in love with Rabia. He fell in love with his teachers, and he realized that this was his path. The world would not have Imam Malik had not been for his mother, or if his mother did not convince him to learn and seek knowledge. Now that is Rabia, whose son was Farooq, the commander of Rabi'a, who conquered Khorasan in Azerbaijan. His student was Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi. Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi's student was Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi, subhanallah. So what a role did his mother play in his upbringing?
Yes, absolutely. And we've discussed in detail all the aspects of Imam Malik's mother and how she motivated Imam Malik. And if we didn't have the mother of Imam Malik, we would not have had Imam Malik. And again, before we even continue with Imam Shafi'i alayhimur rahmah, we are learning here the great interests mothers of great scholars play in the upbringing, in the education. And it is not just for information, but rather for us to be motivated as mothers, as sisters, so that we can motivate our children, our siblings, in order to take the path of religious learning, Islamic learning. Now, what about Imam Shafi'i, alayhimur rahmah? We learned that Imam Malik, subhanallah, was the teacher of Imam Shafi'i, alayhimur rahmah, and Imam Malik had learned so much from the female scholars and the motivation of his mother. So Imam Shafi had his mother a role in bringing up this great Imam. Imam Shafi's mother played a tremendous role in bringing up this great Imam, Imam Shafi. And like how Imam Malik's mother played a role in his upbringing, so was Imam Shafi's mother. Imam Shafi alayhimur rahmah was born in Gaza the same year, subhanallah, that Imam Abu Hanifa passed away. The year Imam Abu Hanifa passed away was the same year that Imam Shafi was born, which was the year 150 AH, after Hijrah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took away one great faqih, and Allah gave the world another great faqih in the same year. In fact, some have even said that it was on the same day. Now, Imam Shafi's father passed away before he was even born. Imam Shafi'i, alayhimur rahmah's father, passed away even before he was born, meaning the mother was pregnant when his father passed away. His mother was pregnant with him. He, subhanallah, Imam Shafi'i, was born in Gaza. Gaza, the place that is taking world headlines today, that is where Imam Shafi was born. He was born in Gaza. And by the way, Gaza was called Gaza to Hashim. And Gaza was called Gaza to Hashim because the great grandfather of our beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hashim, passed away in Gaza, and he is buried in Gaza. And from then onwards, it was known as Gaza to Hashim. So Imam Shafi's mother was Fatima bint Abdullah bint al-Hassan bint al-Hassan bint Ali ibn Abi Talib. Let me just repeat that again. Imam Shafi's mother's name was Fatima bint Abdullah bint al-Hassan bin Ali ibn Abi Talib. In other words, the mother of Imam Shafi was a direct descendant of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu through his son Hassan. His son Hassan, his son Abdullah, and her name was Fatima. When she gave birth to Imam Shafi, she decided she wanted to take him back to Mecca because that is where most of her family lived. Because her family, being the direct descendant of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, through his son Hassan, their family originated from Makkah al Mukarramah. And so Imam Shafi's mother wanted to take Imam Shafi back to Mecca where most of her family lived. She wanted him to have a connection to his maternal uncles, and she also said because she wanted him to learn. Imam Shafi himself narrates that my mother took me when I was 2 years old from Gaza to Mecca by herself. We made that journey by ourselves, my mother and myself. He said that he didn't remember anything from that journey, but he remembered that when he arrived in Mecca, my mother said to me and sat me down, and she said to me, "Oh Muhammad," that was the name of Imam Shafi. She said to me, "Oh Muhammad, we are a poor people. We don't have any money. And I decided that I'm not going to remarry for you, and I have decided that I want you to learn, and I'm hoping that Allah will make you of benefit to this ummah." So again, the dua of a mother. Imam Shafi's mother made this dua. She made the sacrifice of taking him to Makkah al Mukarramah. She sat him down, encouraged him to learn, and she made the dua that he be an imam for this ummah. And subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give the great things that these other scholars have, and Allah will let you have a torch for the ummah. This was the dua of Imam Shafi's mother, that Allah will give the great things that these other scholars have, and Allah will let you be a torch for the ummah. And this is really beautiful because Imam Shafi alayhim ar-rahmah has all these great memories of when he was a child. He said, "I desired two things." As a child, Imam Shafi says, "I desired two things, archery and knowledge." He desired archery and knowledge. And he says, "I became so skilled at archery that at the age of 4, I would hit my targets 10 out of 10. And when you read Imam Shafi's life, he is an overachiever in everything. Imam Shafi was such that he was an overachiever in everything. So even in the field of archery, he was an achiever of great heights. So he says that he would hit 10 out of 10 as a 4-year-old. And then he remained silent about knowledge. He did not say anything about his expertise in ilm. And the man he is saying this to says, Wallahi, you are stronger in your ilm than you are in your archery. So it's better that you stick to ilm. So he relates to his people, Imam Shafi, that in archery I hit my targets 10 out of 10. And the person to him he is saying this tells him, uh, although you are so good in archery, but you are even greater and a greater achiever in the field of knowledge. Why don't you just concentrate on knowledge instead of archery? So his mom saw him getting too much into archery. And one day, the mother of Imam Shafi sits him down and tries to get him into the field of knowledge to take more interest. And now here is the story. This shows you the dedication of a mother. Imam Shafi says, my mother used to take me to the different gatherings, halqas in Mecca, and she would put me in the halqa, in the gatherings. However, she did not have any money to pay for my studies to the teachers that were teaching in Makkatul Mukarramah. And she used to tell me to get there before the other students and sit there and just go with the flow. He says that he felt very little, he felt ignored because the teachers knew that he did not pay anything. And he went home to his mother and he used to tell her that my teachers are ignoring me. His mother responded and said, present yourself to the knowledge. It does not matter how the teachers treat you. You are there to get the knowledge. So he asked her, how can I do that? Mother said, don't worry about the people ignoring you. It doesn't matter how teachers treat you. You are there to get knowledge. So he asked her, how can I do that? She said, whenever you enter, enter with great manners, that you don't offend anyone. And just sit there and listen. Forget about how people make you feel. She said, whenever you enter, enter with great manners. Mannerism, akhlaq, is a great virtue and it is a pathway of achieving knowledge. So she said to him, whenever you enter, enter with such manners that you don't offend anyone and just sit there. Forget about how people make you feel. Yes, let I repeat this. His mother responded and said, present yourself to the knowledge. It doesn't matter how teachers treat you. You are there to get knowledge. So when he asked, how can I do that? She said, whenever you enter, enter with such manners that you don't offend anyone. Just sit there and listen. Forget about how people make you feel. Imam Shafi says, I did that. And every time I started hesitating, my mom would push me. And I told her that I don't even have any ink. I'm the only student that does not have ink. And she told him to then memorize everything. Imam Shafi would then memorize every word out of the teacher's mouth. And he says, I would repeat it to myself. And whenever the teacher would go on breaks, the other students would notice him moving his lips. And then they asked him what he was doing. And he told them that he was memorizing the lesson. What then started happening was, whenever the teacher would take their breaks, the students would sit around him and ask him questions. When the teacher found out, he said that I will teach you without payment on condition that you continue teaching my students whenever I take a break. Imam Shafi alayhi rahmah, subhanallah, just imagine this. He was only 6 years old at the time. Imam Shafi says, I went to another teacher And I used to memorize everything. And when the teacher realized that I knew more than him, the teacher said, it is not halal for me to take money from you anyway. The teachers were recognizing the brilliance of this young man. Imam Shafi memorized the Quran between the ages of 4 and 7. Imam Shafi said his mother would collect bones for him, go to the places where the government would go and throw away their papers. She would collect them for me and find little things of ink, put it in a jug until it became a complete jug. This was the sacrifice of the mother. She, the mother of Imam Shafi'i, alayhim rahmah, would peruse the Imams in his behalf and tell them, I want you to teach my son. The mother of Imam Shafi herself was a great alima. And all the other women would go to her with their issues. She, in her own right, was extremely knowledgeable. Imam Shafi said that when I would run out of ink, my mother told me to learn how to write even with my saliva. And I even learned how to write with my saliva.
Well, generally at this age and the attention that a person draws.
If I can just continue a little bit, but you can come in, unless it's not another question, you can come in with any comment.
It's a comment. They're saying that imagine at this age, at the age of 6 years old, someone already memorizing the Quran and also teaching at that age.
Yes, it's amazing. Imam Shafi says that in the halqas, he would make marks with his saliva to supplement his memory. And there is even one story where Imam Malik, we said in the beginning that Imam Shafi alayhim rahmah was the student of Imam Malik. So there is this one story that once Imam Malik got upset because he was making too much noise. Imam Shafi was making too much noise. And Imam Malik asked him what he's doing. And Imam Shafi said he is writing the lesson. So Imam Malik asked him to read it back to him in order to see whether he was doing it correctly. So Imam Malik asked him to read it back. And Imam Shafi, Morana, I'm having some issues with my phone, but we'll continue inshallah. Just give me a second. This is a bit of an issue here with technology. Okay, Marana, we can continue. So, as we were saying, Imam Shafi said that when I would run, so in the halqas, he would make marks with his spit, and Imam Malik got upset. He was making too much noise. And the result was that Imam Malik asked him what he was doing, and Imam Shafi said he is writing the lesson. So Imam Malik asked him to read it back to him. And Imam Shafi read the whole lesson. Imam Shafi's memory became photographic. So when he was holding the mushaf, he had to cover one side because he kept memorizing it across the page, across both the pages. And this was written about Imam Shafi's memory. He then said, my mother took me to the tribe of Hudayy because Hudayy was known for their Arabic. So she told him to stay there for a few years, and he learned Arabic there. So he said, I memorized 100,000 lines of poetry, and I learned Arabic grammar and the Arabic language from them. Marana and Ummahat platform, we are having some problems on my phone. So if we could just say to our listeners that are on Ummahat or on the radio that they can switch on to Radio Islam and continue listening on our Radio Islam platform.
Chief, they can listen to us on Radio Islam, also on our YouTube platform. It's live on the YouTube platform also, and also on channel 826 on the DSTV platform. So on these platforms, they can listen to us live. It's medium wave 1548. Also, they can stream live on the YouTube platform, and also on any of the apps. That's the iOS and the apps that are on the phone. You can just stream live. We are live.
Jazakallah for that, Marana. Yes, so coming back, so what we are saying that his mother took him to the Hudayy tribe, and here she took him there to learn Arabic. So he says he memorized 100,000 lines of poetry, and he also says he learned grammar and the Arabic language from them. And he says that after the Bani Hudayy, I studied with Imam Malik. And by the way, Imam Shafi was teaching in Medina before he was even in his teenage age. Subhanallah. Imam Shafi was teaching in Medina to lots of students even before he became Baligh. And there is this amazing story where he was teaching the fiqh of fasting in Ramadan. And he was drinking water. And his students asked him, how are you drinking water when you're teaching the fiqh of fasting? And you in your own hometown, meaning you're not a musafir. And he said, I am still not baligh yet. So it is not compulsory for me to fast. And I get tired from teaching all day. And that is the prominence, subhanallah, that Imam Shafi enjoyed.
At this age, the attention that a person draws to themselves results in an ego that is created in themselves. Now, was this the case with Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi? And if it was so, how did his mother address it with him?
So now, yes, at that age and as children, naturally, the aspect of ego can come in. And his mother was fully aware of this fear. So now she had to worry about his ego. And his mother wanted to teach him manners as well. So Imam Shafi went home after studying with Imam Malik and after studying and Hudayy, and he knocked on the door after 2 years. He knocked at the door after 2 years, coming back to his mother. And when he knocked on the door, his mother asked, who is it? And he said, Muhammad. So she asked him, what did you come with? And he said, knowledge and manners. He said, knowledge and manners. Subhanallah. And the mother said to him, go back. You are not coming to me with anything. If you say you've come back with knowledge and manners, go back because you have not come back to me with anything. Imam Shafi was shocked. He goes back to Imam Malik and he narrates to Imam Malik. He narrates to Imam Malik what his experience with his mother was. And Imam Malik says to him, go back. And now when she asks, what have you come back with? Say you've come back with manners and knowledge. On this time, say manners first and then say knowledge. In the previous time, you said knowledge and then manners. Now say to your mother, you've come back with manners and knowledge, not knowledge and manners. Why? Because Imam Malik's mother told him to learn from Rabi'ah manners before knowledge. Imam Shafi then did that and his mother opened the door, subhanallah, and embraced him. Imam Malik and Imam Shafi'i, alayhim rahmah, had similar mums. And when you study Imam Shafi'i, there are few effects of this. Frequently, his lectures, he would quote his mum, not in fiqh, but in those, my mum used to tell me things. The other thing, no one of the four Imams had more female teachers than Imam Shafi. None of the other Imams had so many or more female teachers than Imam Shafi. He had over 100 female teachers. He respected women, and he knew that women could be capable ulama as well. And one of his primary teachers, if you read up the top 5 teachers of Imam Shafi'i, was Nafisa bint al-Hasan bint Ali, the granddaughter of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Imam Shafi'i had over 100 female teachers. He respected women. He knew that women could be capable ulama as well. And one of his primary teachers, if you read up, the top 5 teachers of Imam Shafi'i was Nafisa bint al-Hasan bint Ali, the granddaughter of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Nafisa rahimahumullah was a very famous scholar. She made Hajj 30 times, which in those days was unheard of. She was one of the most knowledgeable ulama in Mecca. And Imam Shafi alayhim rahmah particularly used to quote Nafisa out of all his teachers. Subhanallah. He was so close to his teacher Nafisa, the daughter of a Sahabi, that when he passed away, they prayed janazah on his body, and then they took his body to Nafisa's house, and she prayed a separate janazah for him. They took his body to the graveyard after Nafisa performed the janazah over Imam Shafi's mayyat. And this is a historical fact. That was how much he appreciated her, and that was how much she cared for him. So we see again the effects of a single mother. And the world again would not have had Imam Shafi had it not been for a mother that carried her baby from Gaza to Mecca and kept on encouraging him, even though they did not have ink or money to pay the teachers.
Well, since we are discussing many of the Imams, we spoke of Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi, and now we're speaking
Yes,
about Imam
Maulana.
Shafi rahmatullah alayhi.
Are you there?
Gee, Mark, can you hear us? Mark? Mark, can you hear us?
Maulana, are you there? I see we cut off.
Yes, we're still live, Mark. We are on. I don't know if Mark can hear us, but we were discussing about the mother of Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi.
آخر يوم في عمري حضني من أول حياتي وهم اللي كتب.
Hold on, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. I'll put you back on.
بعد الحب ده اللي تعمل كل ده.
I think we got our sound went a bit there. Now we can continue.
Okay, so I'll just re-quote some of the things that maybe we missed out. So I don't know, where did we break off? Did we break off with the sound after we heard when Imam Shafi returned to his mother after knocking at the door? Did we get that?
Gee, we also discussed about how Nafisa binti Hassan bin Ali, rahmatullah alayhi, performed the Janaza Salah over Imam Shafi, rahmatullah alayhi also.
Okay, so that's where we concluded also. So
Okay.
what we're saying is that we see again the effects of a single mother, and the world would not have had Imam Shafi had it not been for a mother that carried her baby from Gaza to Mecca and who kept on encouraging him even though they did not have ink or money to pay for the teachers. And among Imam Shafi's teachers, a lot of them were women, and one very famous one, as we said, was Nafisa bint Hassan, who he respected tremendously. He used to quote her a lot. And when Imam Shafi alayhi rahmah passed away, he performed his janaza, and after his janaza, they took his janaza to her. She then performed a janaza over him before taking him to the qabristan and burying him. This was Imam Shafi alayhi rahmah. Yes, ma'am.
Well, since we are discussing some of the Imams, rahmatullah alayhi, we spoke about Imam Malik, rahmatullah alayhi, Imam Shafi, rahmatullah alayhi. Let's come to Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, rahmatullah alayhi. Imam Ahmad was the student of Imam Shafi, and he was also raised by a single mother.
Yes, so we're learning something very amazing, Maulana, is that Imam Malik, who was raised by a great lady who motivated him to study, and he was the teacher of Imam Shafi, who himself, Imam Shafi, was motivated and brought up by a single mother. And then Imam Ahmad, who was the student of Imam Shafi, also raised by a single mother. Imam Malik says, we said that every day my mom used to dress me up and send me to learn. And when I returned, she would ask me to narrate all the ahadith I learned to her. And this is something practical, taking interest. His mother used to sit with him and ask him to teach her what he learned, and we mentioned that. So every day he used to come home and teach her, and slowly he said he fell in love with Rabi'a, he fell in love with his teachers, and he realized this was his path, and the world would not have seen Imam Malik had it not been for his mother. If his mom did not convince him to learn and seek knowledge, and that was Rabi'a, we mentioned that, I'm repeating it, I know that, just to recap again. And the son of Farooq, the commander of Rabia, who conquered Khurasan in Azerbaijan, and his student Imam Malik, student Imam Shafi, subhanallah, and subhanallah, his mother, his name was Safiya as-Shaybani. His father passed away in his infancy, Imam Malik. His mother's name was Safiya as-Shaybani. His father passed away in his infancy. And Imam Ahmad said that my mother used to wash my clothes and prepare my turban, and she used to leave me notes of nasiha in my clothes. And he says that my mom used to wake me up before Fajr, and she would heat up the water, and she used to walk me to the masjid because the masjid was far away, and the way to the masjid was dark. She used to wake him up before Fajr, walk me to the masjid, wait outside until after I had attended the lectures, until after sunrise, and then she would tell me, do not leave until all the scholars and ulama had left. Ma'ruf rahimahullah says that the people in the time of Imam Ahmad used to spend money on teachers to teach their children manners. And he said, I never saw a young man with more manners than Ahmad, and he did not even have his father. Imam Ahmad showed so much manners and respect and humility as a young boy, and all of that was from his mother. Ibn Jawzi rahimahumullah says, imagine the reward, the ajr of this woman, the mother of Imam Ahmad, when Allah says, we write their footsteps. This woman, the mother of Imam Ahmad, was walking her son to the masjid every day and spending all her time teaching him adab, respect, character, and love. How did he how did he pay her back? How did Imam Ahmad pay back his mother? Imam Ahmad says, I did not get married until the age of 41 years because my mother did so much for me that I did not feel it would be right for me to get married while she was still alive, as I would not have been able to fulfill my rights to her. And he says it's not a sunnah. So he used to warn his students and tell them that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, "O young man who can get married should do so, and they should get married." He stayed with her until the age of 41, unmarried, not complaining, just showing his appreciation to her. And can you imagine the pressure that the most famous Imam in the world is unmarried? And when she passed away, Imam Ahmad married a young woman by the name of Salih. And he said, for 30 years, I never had an argument with my wife except on one occasion. And on that occasion, I was wrong. Subhanallah. He says that he stayed until the age of 41, unmarried, taking care of his mother, not complaining, just showing appreciation to his mother. And one can imagine the pressure. The most famous Imam in the world is unmarried. And he says himself, when she passed away, I married a young woman by the name of Salih. In other words, this was his wife, Salih. And he says he lived with her for 30 years. And for 30 years, I never had an argument with my wife, except on one occasion. And at that occasion, I was wrong. Subhanallah. So here we learn the four Imams. Imam Malik, we've heard about him, brought up by his mother, encouraged by his mother to learn. Imam Shafi, who was a student of Imam Malik, brought up by the mother, sacrificed, the mother sacrificed for him, and then we had Imam Shafi, the great scholar, and then the student of Imam Shafi, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, whose father also passed away at his infancy, and it was the mother that brought him up, made all the sacrifice, and brought about this great Imam that the Ummah enjoyed. Inshallah, Marana, I think we've come to an end of our program today, although we had some issues with technology and some issues with our sound. And also we started a bit late. Inshallah, we'll continue next week with this very interesting discussions of mothers who brought up great scholars, inshallah. If there are any questions relating to the program or any comments, we can share that and then we'll continue next week, inshallah.
Inshallah, I think we had our listeners were quite attentive, so they weren't sending any messages. Inshallah, if you do have a message, you can send it to us on 0727861548. Inshallah, Mara, we'll carry on next week with the mothers of famous people, famous scholars in Islam.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Operation Kurbani, Maulana Timor will once again be taking a trip abroad for Kurbani. Many people in the villages live well below the poverty line and only eat meat on the days of Eid al-Adha. Support this cause at 2,100 Rand for 7 shares or 300 Rand per share. Contact Maulana Timor, Maulana Sajjad, Maulana Hamad or Maulana Abbad on 011-852-6324 or 072-299-9268 or 082-368-6866. or 072-697-0131 or 073-576-9786. All slaughtering will be supervised by a team of foreign and local ulama. Visit www